Welcome back, everybody, to the R&R Catcast. Coming to you. Sorry, I'm gonna have to start over. I don't even know what month this is. January, beginning of the year. Holy smoke! Well, welcome back, everybody, to the R&R Catcast. Coming to you from early 2019 for a little defensive episode and some breaking news in the Montana State world. Joined with me, as always, is my co-host and good friend, Ryan. How are you doing, Ryan?
Pretty good, Ryan. Yourself?
Not too bad on this foggy night over here in Spokane. But not bad at all.
Hey, I know we were both just watching the Cats basketball game, so that's a pretty good start to the night or end to the night, whatever. The Cats beat Idaho down in Idaho, so that was a good road win for the all of a sudden pretty good men's team.
Yeah, we're on a little hot streak right now.
Yeah, what'd you say? Like 6 of the last 7. We're 4-1, I think, in conference. It's like, man, we're looking good. I don't know if we're looking pretty good. Like Tyler Hall looked pretty animated. Like the guys are moving the ball around. Harold Frey is really controlling the ball well. I don't know. We look pretty good this year, surprisingly.
Well,
some of the newcomers.
I was listening to Fish earlier on today, and he said that how they changed their offense from years past. People were starting to scout them a certain way, so he just went to a different offense, and it's been working. Kudos to him for making a change and not just sticking with something, just because that's what they used to do. So it's good to see some evolution in the men's basketball program. Hopefully they could keep it up through February. My biggest day of the year for the Montana State Bobcat is, or for the basketball team, would be when they go into the tournament. I'm just holding my breath every year until we get that win. So that's my big goal for them.
Yeah, we always come out strong. The middle sometimes changes, but we almost always just limp into the tournament.
Yeah.
Just like getting to that finish line. And then we're like, oh, we're going to be rejuvenated. And then we play really well for a half, and then we just get pummeled. So
yeah, we play like Southern Utah, who was horrible. And, we were up huge at half last year, and then we just.
Yeah, we're up at 20, right? Against North Dakota?
I know. Was it North Dakota? I thought it was Southern Utah.
I think Southern Utah was 2 years ago because they were the last seed. We were actually pretty good that year, and they just came in and beat us.
And we still lost.
It doesn't matter because I think Southern Utah went to the next round and got just thumped. So,
this is not about Montana State basketball. No. Let's get back on track.
All right.
But first, we always start off with what we are drinking tonight.
So, who would you like to share? What they're drinking.
I know. I know what you're going to say. I'll start because
you want to out yourself.
I am. So I'm on a 21-day fast from beer, and I'm on day 4. A long road ahead. So tonight I'm drinking a lime LaCroix, straight from my fridge. It nice. Is about what you can think it is. You know what? I do like LaCroix. They've grown on me. They're easy to drink. I don't know. I'm a fan. So
I heard someone describe LaCroix as somebody was eating the flavor of it adjacent to a LaCroix. And then or someone farted into LaCroix, someone was eating lime and farted into LaCroix, and that's what they taste like.
Well, I don't know what that person's talking about, but
it means there's hardly any flavor, is what it means.
Yeah,
I like LaCroix too, so I'm not going to knock them, but just thought I'd share my little anecdote there. And we got all sorts of things going against us here. This is a weird, unscheduled episode that we were just kind of busy holiday. We never got around to doing it, and we were just hadn't done it. And all of a sudden, some news broke. So all right, we better do the episode. Better start with the defense first. But circling back, I am drinking the Kirkland Costco brand brown ale. That's what I'm drinking. Not real fancy, and it's not that good either. So, have you had any of the Kirkland brand beer?
Yeah, I think my in-laws bought a 12-pack of it a while back, and
it has a IPA, a brown, and an American Pale Ale, and stout, and yeah, none of it's very good. I'd heard kind of good things about it, so I gave it a shot. Plus, my father-in-law is coming over. He's a huge IPA fan. I didn't want to buy an entire Costco-sized case of IPA, so this is my compromise.
There you go. Hey, on drinks for a moment, one thing that I have been starting due to my wife, she's been getting me on tea. Do you guys drink tea at night?
At night, sometimes when we're sick and want to soothe our throats, really is about the only time it happens over here.
Right? I mean, that's what I would assume. But we've been drinking tea nightly, and I think it's been going on for probably 6 weeks now. Mm. And so I'm missing my tea right now. So
you have caffeine in it, or no? Are you drinking decaf?
No, you do some sort of nighttime blend. So most stores sell some sort of nighttime blend, and you get that. And I assume it's non-caffeinated. I don't feel like it's caffeinated for sure. So, she just boils the water. We sit down, and when the boys go to bed, we have our cup of tea and watch some TV or do whatever, and that's our nightcap. So,
read a book.
Well, not lately. No, I've been doing more studying than anything, but that's about what I've been doing at night.
R&R Cat Cast, we party hard.
LaCroix and
after
tea.
After the kids are in bed, we party pretty hard.
Oh gosh! All right, so
let's get this party started, huh?
Yeah, let's outline the show real quick. So, kind of our goal for tonight is to cover the breaking news on the Gregorak, Kane Ioane, Marco Orfe, all that news that was coming out earlier on in the week, and then to kind of parlay that into our defense and where we're going into 2019. So, but we'll start with Gregorak. Gregorak came out on Monday that he was, it was rumored that he was leaving. No one could tell if he was being fired, let go, or if it was a resignation by him. Later on came out that it was a resignation, and it still seems really cloudy, very ambiguous. So, what do you think about that?
It seems pretty odd circumstances for this all to happen. I can't imagine it's performance-based because we were, the worst defense in the league / MSU history, in 2015, which we'll get back to that, was when Kane Ioane was coaching, I believe, right? But we'll get back to that. And then all of a sudden, literally the same dudes, if not some of the guys I think graduated in 2015, we were instantly better, and there's no other reason except for the culture change with Choate and the defensive coaching with Gregorak. The only explanation is all of a sudden we went from dead last in every core category to top 4 or 5 in every category. So that stayed consistent throughout. Okay, we could have been better, and I had some things I didn't love that Gregorak did, but overall, I was happy with the defense. I think most Bobcat fans were on the whole, and I imagine Choate was too. So I can't imagine he was let go for any reason like that. So like you said, wasn't let go, but resignations, you never know what that actually means, though. Is it a forced resignation? Is it a you resign or I fire you resignation? It's hard to say, but it's a weird circumstance. It's a weird ordeal.
Yeah, and just before we go in too much with this, you and I are coming at this from a fan's perspective. There's a lot of it right now that is out that has credible journalistic approach to it. This is not that.
No, we're not credible. We're incredible.
Yeah, that's one way of saying it. It seems really odd when you're reading through Bobcat Nation. It sounds like there's a couple guys out there go, have the insider info. They're not leaking. There's nothing I can piece together after listening to the sources out there. It just seems really weird. It's just he left. And it just begets the question why. And until that is satiated, I feel really well when it happened. I felt really upset. I can't say upset was the word. I felt down. I was a little sad, to be honest, if that's the right word. I don't know if that is the right word. I'm a big fan of Ty and his defense. But I guess I feel more confused than anything. And then I was like, well, where are we going to go from here? That didn't concern me too much, knowing Choate is such a defensive-minded coach, and I thought he would have, kind of a backup plan. He years ago kind of always alluded that he has a short list of coaches who he has as backups for just these type of situations or whenever they move on. And so that didn't concern me as much, but it was just really weird. And it just still feels really weird, even kind of like, 3 or 4 days into this. So
agreed. And I don't know if anything is going to come out in terms of why. I don't know if it's like a personal issue, if there was an incident, a clash. I don't know if the philosophies just butted heads and they just had enough of each other. Like, it's hard to say. Like, you never heard any rumblings about that. You never heard really anything about either of them being unhappy in their job. So it did seem like it was out of the blue. You would half expect, okay, well, he took an FBS offer somewhere. That hasn't transpired. His agent doesn't appear to think that that's the case either. So it's just very interesting, very odd. I can't imagine. There has to be something that happened. That's the only thing I can think of. I won't speculate as to what. If it's, I don't know. That's just an interesting thing, and I wish him the best. I liked having him here. I mean, his hire was one of the more crazy news media stories I've seen covering Bobcats or Grizz and probably ever. Like, you poached a coach from the Grizz. That's crazy. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about the circumstances of his leaving the program. But I will say that I thought he did a pretty good job, and I was looking forward to seeing what could happen next year, considering I think we had some limitations in the personnel department that I was thinking that we could fix this coming year. And we're going to get into a little positional stuff here in a little bit, but we're going to focus right now just on the coaching side of things. But
so you said earlier on that you weren't a fan of Gregorak in some ways. What are those ways?
I just don't like the bend but don't break philosophy. I like being more aggressive. I like you get beat once in a while, whatever, but I like the energy it brings when you stuff a guy behind the line of scrimmage. And maybe, again, that was part of the personnel problems. We didn't have a guy like Mac Bignell who was blowing the lineup, or Alex Singleton who would just fly in there and just stick a guy behind the line of scrimmage. We just didn't have maybe the playmakers, and the defense was tailored to that end. Maybe that's part of it, but I just don't love the just sitting back. I thought we gave a lot of cushions in a lot of games, a lot of really big cushions. Like, was it the North Dakota State game that we had talked about? There was like a play, it was like 3rd and 2, and our guys were like 10, 15 yards off the ball.
Yeah.
Like an obvious run play. I know we don't want to get beat, but the only way you're going to beat North Dakota State is to try and stuff them on 3rd and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not going to happen, but if you just concede that 3rd and 2, they're just going to have a 10-minute drive and score a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I didn't like some of the stuff we did that game, and there's some other instances. It's nothing like real problematic for me, but I had some issues here and there, but I don't know who's ever going to be perfect. They're always going to have some issue with somebody, the philosophy or whatever, a coach.
Sure.
But overall, I mean, I don't know. We graded them out the last episode we did, right? I don't remember what we said. I don't remember, but I remember we were both pretty happy overall. I remember that. So,
I felt like he could have blitzed more, just in my preference. So that was always my kind of knock on Gregorak. But other than that, like everything we've said prior to that, I really enjoyed the uptick our defense went through when the transition happened with him. So I was happy he was on our side.
Agreed. Well, do you want to say anything else about Gregorak, or?
I just wish him the best.
Yeah.
Just really still just kind of putting my hands up over here going, I just don't know what's really going on, may never know what's really going on, and respect that privacy. And yeah, it's just kind of, as a fan, it just, I don't know, feels like I don't have closure on the whole situation. And am I afforded closure? It would be nice, but if I'm not, then we'll move forward. And that's what apparently we're doing with Kane Ioane.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard. This is like the hottest take that you're ever going to get from our podcast. This happened a few days ago, forced us to kind of create the podcast. But yeah, not everything is like digested yet. Not everything is sunk in. Not all the facts have come out, if they come out at all. But there's just not a lot of information out there. Like you said, a lot of it is just people talking about, I know something, but once it comes to light, blah, blah, blah. You see that on both boards, eGriz and Bobcat Nation.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's really about it. Like he resigned and he just like disappeared in the wind, cleaned out his office, wrote a thank you text to a whole bunch of people, and then he's gone. Like out of the blue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in the same day, or the same time period, Mark Orfe, that's the second time I butchered his name tonight, did the same. So they're both leaving. Are they tied together? Who knows? Is it circumstantial? I don't know. But they are both exiting the program, leaving some holes. But we already have 2 positions filled. So
it could be circumstantial only in the fact that I think they wanted to wait to the player meetings or whatever that they had, and then they made the announcement. So I don't know if they both happened at the same time or if one happened before the other and they just waited until the meeting to announce it. So it looks like it's at the same time. I don't know, but congratulations to him. He took the same position at Utah State, right? Like secondary coach, cornerbacks coach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's always a good thing when guys in the program move up. It always seems like apparently we can't keep a secondary coach because they always go on to bigger and better things real fast, which is surprising. But because it never seems like we have that awesome of a secondary.
I don't think we pay the secondary coach all that much money.
I don't think we pay anybody very much money. I mean, that's just what it is at this level.
Let's talk about Kane. When you and I first learned of his hire, I think it was yesterday. I'm working. I get the text from you. I see the article at the same time, and I'm immediately not that excited because the taste of 2015 is still left in my mouth, and with Kane Ioane on my brain. And you said no. I don't blame him for that. I do, and I could be persuaded. I listened to Coulter and his little rant on it, and I get it. But hey, man, he had his hand in that defense. Whether it was Jamie Marshall's bigger hand, I'm not sure. But 2015, we were atrocious, and to bring him back is something I have a little bit of pause on. Now, having him gone to Chris Peterson's staff for the last 3 years and being involved in the game planning and defense could have done nothing but, open his eyes, so to say.
There's no way that he is a worse coach than he was.
Exactly.
There's no way he got worse.
Exactly. Pete
regress, I guess. I don't want to say like he was worse, like as a negative implication. I'm just saying there's no way he got any worse at his job. Not that he was bad.
Mm-hmm. And to learn from his former Montana State defensive coaches, Pete. I'm gonna butcher his last name. Help me out. PK. They were gonna call
Kwiatkowski.
Jimmy Lake. Jimmy Lake apparently was apparently had a time at Montana State. I might be wrong there.
No, I'm pretty sure he did. Like the name's very familiar to me, and then I think somebody said as much when he was Coulter, but yeah, I remember the name.
Man, it's crazy how many ties Montana State and University of Washington have. Anyways, again, so yeah, all that being soaked up for Kane, he's going to come back. He's going to make his grand reentrance. There's a lot of expectations. Kane Ioane is probably one of the most household names for Bobcats. But he did not leave on a good note. He let good for him. He took a great position, but 2015 still is just this dark cloud in my mind, and he was attached to that. So he has a lot of proving to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. My initial thought was that I wasn't real excited either. Like, it's okay. So I would love this hire. Last year, 2 years ago, for whatever reason, the Gregorak or the position opened up while we were still kind of in our rebuilding program mode. And I'm not saying that we've rebuilt. We're not where we want to be. But what have we been talking about this entire season? Is our expectations have changed, our standards have changed. Like, the standard is now, you beat the Grays, you go to the playoffs. And now we're working on a new standard: beat the Grays, go to the playoffs, win a playoff game, make a little run. So we're well beyond the get to the winning record point, even though I know this is our first year winning record, but that's just the way things are trending, the way I feel about the program. It's not like we fluked our way into a winning season. We had a winning season despite some ridiculous obstacles. So if we have more pieces, I think we can be even better. So at a point in the program where wanting us to take the next step, hiring a defensive coordinator with the only experience he has as a defensive coordinator, ironically, is at the alma mater he's going back to, and it was a very unsuccessful stint. So I don't love it from the fact that I think we could have gotten a little bit bigger of a name, a little bit more experienced of a name, but you can't find a better Bobcat than Kane Ioane. So I understand that, and I'm super excited to see what he can do. But I don't love it on the surface.
Take it with a grain of salt, though, because I think Choate knows what he's doing when it comes to defense. And
true.
I do, no doubt was Jeff Choate on the line with Chris Peterson having this conversation going, is he ready? Is he ready? And I don't think he would have brought him back if he wasn't. So I do trust Jeff Choate. He always has earned my trust on that. But there's some pause for me. But one thing I was thinking about too is all the guys on the staff right now, not the staff, on the team, have not interacted with Kane. If I'm right, there might be a guy here or there, but I don't think. I think all those players now have been flushed out of the system, and that they are new to Kane, and so that could just be a fresh start for him.
There should still be some guys. Like, if you were red shirting in 2015, you'd be on the squad right now, right? 16, 17, 18, you'd be in your fourth year of eligibility.
Okay. Oh, well, all right.
I'm trying to do some math here.
My statement.
You're the one that's not drinking alcohol. You do the math.
Right? So, okay. But, I mean, those guys weren't getting playing time.
No.
So
it's like a fresh phrase for all intents and purposes. So,
yeah.
Didn't mean to derail you there, but yeah, there's very little familiarity with him, even though he's like a Bobcat legend.
Mm-hmm. True.
I don't know. It's hard to say what caused that disaster. Like, Ash's tenure just came crashing down there in every way possible. It was the offense it was everything. It was bad to watch. The team had not a lot of fight in them. It didn't seem like once things got bad, they just kind of gave up. And I just think everyone was just checked out at that point. And I don't blame Kane for that necessarily, but everyone deserves blame in that, though. Like, every single person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hold that against him, I guess, is a better way of saying. Like, all right, that was his. I'm more concerned about his just lack of experience in general calling defensive plays than I am that following his career, that season on his resume.
Sure.
If that makes sense, if I'm making that distinction clear.
Yeah.
But, best of luck to him. I mean, you and I watched him play, love watching him play, and he was on the staff forever after that. So that guy's been a Bobcat like half of his life. So you got to love it. That guy's this is probably, I mean, maybe his dream job's head coach, but a dream destination for him, I have to imagine, as a Montana guy, as a Bobcat, if he's the kind of guy that you want to groom into a head coach, like this is a great move.
Yeah, and you got to believe he's coming back with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to prove me wrong, to prove everybody else wrong that he has what it takes. So,
yep. Interesting what he does with the kind of philosophy he runs if he changes things up too much. But I know one thing that I saw some people concerned about Gregorak being such a player's coach. Well, I think Kane's kind of a player's coach too, isn't he?
Yeah, from what I've seen, yeah.
So I don't think there's going to be much of a misstep there in that department. Like, sure, they're going to have different personalities wherever, but he's going to be a guy there fighting for you, down in the trenches with you. Not wanting to be up in the booth. Like Gregorak, I think, hated being up in the booth. So he just loved being down there firing guys up. That was when he was at his peak, as you could see in the infamous Corey Smith touchdown kickoff. As a Grizzly, you could just see him down the sideline, fired up and pissed off. So that was the kind of guy he was. He took it personally, and he's going to be missed. And just glad we got to see what he could do for a few years, and wish him the best.
Well, you know what? I was thinking about Ioane. He should grow his hair back, get the locks flowing.
That's back in. I don't know if it was ever in, but there's a lot of it. So I think it fit right in. That might take him a little while. I don't know how his wife would feel about that, but hey, do what you got to do. Get some of that swagger back if that means getting that hair.
So, with Orfei moving on, did somebody is Kyle Rinsinger taking the cornerback position?
Yes, he's moving to yes.
Man, I've been crossing my fingers to have Joey Thomas come back to Montana State. I was a huge fan of Joey Thomas, and he's doing good things over on the west side, over by you, and he has a lot of connections over there. But man, he needs to be a Bobcat on our staff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing that would be holding him back is any experience too. But man, if you're going to give a guy a shot at a position coach, why the hell not? Like that, there's a position open for him. Like that's his position.
He would probably take a drastic pay cut, in my opinion.
Is he a head coach at a high school?
Yeah.
He probably would take a pay cut. Yeah.
Yeah. So
he'd have a lot less responsibility though.
Yeah, that's true.
In the grand scheme of things, and managing people anyway.
I think he likes being a leader, though. I follow him on Twitter. It is clear that he is a leader of those young men over there, and I think he takes a great deal of pride in that. And maybe coming to Montana State, I don't know if his leadership. I don't know. It's hard to say if he would have that same influence. And sometimes when you have that influence and then you're put into a different position where you don't have that influence, you're not really maximizing your skill set. And I don't know, it's a weird dynamic. So,
Well, you think that fit in too with like Choate's definitely like a leader type character who just loves molding young men into men, so like that's something they'd have in common. But yeah, I mean, so I'm looking at it right now, just make sure. So yeah, Kyle Riesinger moved from safeties to cornerbacks. The defensive staff, there's going to be some more changes, as I understand it from the article. I just think there's going to be a few more changes in general. But for right now, I think the openings are linebacker, the linebacker coach,
and safeties, right?
And safeties. And yeah, I think that's what we have. It says here Matt Miller will continue to coach the quarterbacks.
Oh, okay.
So he'll be offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. I don't know if we want to bring in someone to do that specifically. I don't know if that matters too much. I was happy enough with the way Miller was rising. I hope we get a hold on to him because, I don't know, he seems like just a guy who's going to be up and out.
Yeah.
So, but he doesn't have much experience, so he's got to cut his teeth, though, a little bit more, you would think. But hopefully we get a couple years with him and see how it goes because I like the way, if you can move the ball with a Troy Anderson-led offense, you can move the ball with any offense. Love you, Troy, but we need someone who can spin it a little bit.
Yeah.
While you having you in the backfield doing the exact same stuff you're doing this year, just running all over the place. just stiff arming people to the ground, doing like literally. He does like the Heisman, like unintentionally. That's just the kind of football player he is. He just like that. I saw a couple moves he did. All right, Troy Anderson. There's our obligatory Troy Anderson discussion.
Yeah, we're not going to talk Troy.
That's all. That's all.
I was going to say, talking to stiff arm. I'm stiff arming that topic right now.
Yep, I agree.
Okay,
I got all excited.
Okay, I know you did. You start talking fast.
Raise my voice level a little bit. Start talking fast. I know it. The signs are all there.
Okay. All right. So Thorny, start taking us through our defense and kind of maybe some needs going into 2019. Let's see what we got there.
We wanted to kind of wrap this up in our season-ending episode, but we ended up talking a whole lot about other stuff, so we decided to kind of cut this up into a couple more episodes over the break after the signing day, after the early signing day at least, so we can kind of see if we filled any of the needs we think we have. Might as well start in the secondary. We returned a lot of guys back there. We got Thomas is back, Filer's back, who I thought had a really good first year. We got Cole's back, Jeff Choate's back, Braden Conkle's back. I mean, does it get any better than that? Yeah, Damian Washington's back. I don't even have. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on my projected starters. Then we have the JoJo Henderson, Keaton Anderson, Ty Okada, Sean Borges, Damian Washington. I mean, that's a pretty loaded group right there that has some experience already. And then you got guys like the Gibson twins, who I've heard just pretty much nothing but good things about. Mm-hmm. You got Level Price Jr. and Caleb Winterburn, I think, are all the kind of guys that are redshirting. And then I don't know whatever happened to like Luke May. Is he still competing back there?
Boy, I didn't hear one single word about that kid this year.
No, everyone was excited when we brought him in. He tried his hand out at quarterback and then moved to safety, and everyone's like, oh, he's going to be a good safety. He's such a good athlete. And then nothing. Absolute silence. I never heard if he's even – I don't remember if he ever won like a defensive scout player award. Like, I don't know what he's doing.
I don't even know if he's on the team.
I think he's on the team. I'm pretty sure he's on the team. I've heard otherwise. He's like a high-profile enough guy that I think we would have heard if he left the team.
Okay.
But so as I just described, that's a pretty crowded room. We did not sign a single secondary player.
Well, that was a focus for us in the first 2 years under Choate, and we shored that up pretty fast.
Yeah, you can kind of see in each class where Choate has emphasized, and the lines and then the secondary. So that's kind of where he's done. So we didn't really need a lot of help there. We have a ton of returning experience, and we have some talent. So what are your thoughts on that group right there?
I can't wait to see the Gibson twins. They've been like my kind of like I want to watch them play. They got the length, and that's something we've lacked on the outside. So they're both 6'1", good wingspan. They talk trash. They seem like they just seem like exciting players that I haven't seen, and so I'm chomping at the bit for that. It's hard to believe Jalen Cole and Tyrell Thomas will be
juniors,
third year starting juniors.
It's crazy.
Kane Ioane seems to be going to be like our starting pitcher back there. It's just going to keep everybody going, and I think that's going to be. Well, it might be the best group on our defense if I'm looking at our defense for next year. So I'm really excited.
I would say that that's definitely the most talented, most crowded spot on the defense for sure. And I do have to say, like, I don't know if I think I've said this before, but Jeff Choate definitely proved me wrong. Not that I doubted him, but I wasn't super excited when we signed him because he had to sit out a year. I don't know if he had a whole lot of playing time. It was Virginia Tech, right? Is that where he's from?
Yeah,
one of the Virginia schools, Virginia Tech, and came in. He's not a real big kid, but he's a player. He just plays like he came from an FBS school.
Yeah,
he's a player. So he's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if he's an all-conference type season next year. And him, Conkle. I mean, that's just a physical. Jalen Cole, just like a little kamikaze missile at people. He was kind of injured, so it'll be good to get him back. Thomas was injured for a little while, and the guy I was really impressed with was Greg Filer. I had just really no knowledge of what he was going to bring to the table, but obviously he was coached up to play man-to-man, and that's what we brought him for, just to jam guys at the line and play man-to-man coverage, and he did a really good job of that.
Yeah, he really shone in that Weber game. And I a player we don't talk about very often who deserves more credit than he gets is Damian Washington.
He does. I absolutely agree with that. He seems to be streaky, I guess.
Yeah,
like he'll get in there because he has the skills, he has the athleticism. I don't know if it's a confidence issue or just it's hard to be consistent. Like that's just a hard thing to do. But when he's in there and he's on his A game, he's like as good as anyone we have. But then he'll make like a really bad play, and it seems like it just sinks him, and then he just gets pulled out of the game.
Or he'll make a really awesome play, like sweet, and then he'll come back and he'll do a taunting penalty the next play, and you're like, oh man, are you kidding me?
That was a bad call. I know what you're talking about. That Western Illinois game, that was not much of a taunting penalty.
Yeah, okay.
but he shouldn't have done anything. Is the point? Like you don't put yourself in a position to get a flag. So
yes, exactly.
But so I mean that's the personnel we're coming back with. I think it's a good group. What do you think that the group needs to improve upon for next year?
Press coverage, man coverage on the outside, so we can play some, free up the linebackers, so we're not playing zone as much on the back end. Do some blitzing. So I would just say that.
I think that they need to do a lot of tackle drills. Our tackling got worse as the year went on, and the secondary was as guilty as anybody of that. I thought their tackling was pretty porous there at the end.
That might be like a thing of like they're just like banged up. Maybe
we had some injuries, and that could certainly be a part of it. But they just couldn't really get off the blocks and make any tackles there. And I also thought that the zone coverage was pretty bad in spots, like the seams in the zone just were picked upon. Like the Grizz picked us apart with that. Just picking the zone apart. So I think they need to get a little bit better awareness. It seems like we have a whole bunch of guys who were brought here to play man-to-man coverage, physical man-to-man coverage, and then you throw them in a zone and they don't know where to go. They don't know the spots to be in. But that's only going to come better with more experience and more chemistry and more leadership from Jeff Choate as he comes into his own as that field general spot, if you will.
Yeah.
So I look for a pretty big improvement from there. There's no way that group can be worse unless the coaching change has something to do with that, of course.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what they do.
So that's the exciting group. So the groups that have a little bit more hesitation would be, let's start with the linebackers. What did you think of our linebacker play from last year?
Well, we talked about it quite often in every episode. It was lackluster.
The linebackers were pretty much the whipping boy by fans pretty much the whole season, I think.
I don't want to talk about a lot of players that were getting burned. I'm not going to sit here on this cast. And that's one thing I've always tried to, withhold is trying to throw any players underneath the bus. But there is need for market improvement in the linebacker position.
Yes.
Mostly in my position, speed.
Speed was a killer for us. As in anyone had it, we were toast.
Well, yeah, and it seemed like we what I mean is we need more speed.
Yes.
We have the length, we have the size, and the length can make up for speed, but man, we just need to get faster.
No, too many times, and it was just a theme again and again. If we couldn't seal the edge, if we couldn't blow the play up, then the guys were just picking us apart, getting around the edge, and then there was just nobody there in the second level to lay a hand on them.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is speed. I think a lot of it was just the inability to shed blockers. It seemed like a problem for the whole team, really. There's too many plays where an offensive lineman got his paws on you and you just couldn't get off of him.
Yeah. Why do you think it was like that?
I don't know. It was a kind of interesting year. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about this, but I just feel like there's a lot more grabbing by offensive lines than I've seen in previous years. I don't know. You can hold like that and be perfectly legal. It just seemed like there was a whole lot of jersey tugging and no real calls about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's part of it, or our guys just couldn't figure out how to get away from linemen, like the blockers. I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe the technique wasn't there to break those off.
Do you think it was possible that we were just missing Mac Bignell so much and those deficiencies were always there, but it was just, covered up by Mac's awesomeness that we weren't really talking about it as much?
If you got a guy who's like an All-American NFL type, at least numbers, who's making the play consistently, it's going to mask a lot of problems.
Right.
When you got a bunch of guys who are, none of them are really all-star, all-conference even type players, and maybe they're good players, like a role player or something, but then they're being called upon to be the man, the starting guy, that's where it just wasn't enough talent. Wasn't enough athleticism and speed that we needed to be at.
So who did we sign during our signing period to kind of shore that up?
Let's see. We signed Cole Oster and Alec Johnson, I think, are the two guys that I have. But Alec Johnson might project as a safety. I couldn't quite tell.
Okay.
He's listed as a linebacker / safety. I might be missing someone. Honestly, my notes here are a little old, but nothing changed. We didn't add anybody after the initial wave, even though we were told there's going to be another signing or two before the end of the period. There wasn't.
Yeah.
So that's all I have is I think Cole Oster was a pretty big signing. I think he was a guy a lot of guys were high on the board. So they were happy to see that feels like some people were happy that we held on to him. So I don't know if he had a bunch of other offers or they were just one of those guys that he looks too good to be true. He can't sign here. I don't know. I didn't watch his film necessarily, but the guy we have Blake Flovin is the transfer.
Yeah,
I think that's who I was thinking. Yeah, that's who you're thinking of. So he's a transfer. Yeah, I'm looking at my my notes I wrote down differently, so I wasn't seeing that part. But yeah, he looks like a guy who's going to be a big addition.
Yeah.
He's got size. He looks like he's got speed. I think he's 6'2", 240, 245, somewhere in that range. But he looks like he could run sideline to sideline.
All right.
So I think he's going to be a guy who's going to be in the mix right away. I think it's probably going to be Josh Hill, Chad Cano, and Blue Chapman is maybe who I'm guessing is going to be the starters to start off the year anyway. But then we have a bunch of guys who have experience. At least we got, Jobman's going to be back there. Hadley, Daniel Hardy, I think, is going to be a guy who has a chance at a starting job at some point in his career. I don't know if he's there yet. He's just such a raw athlete at this point. He has a huge wingspan, and I think he has some speed too. And there are guys that are there. Callahan O'Reilly. I don't know if he sticks around at linebacker, and Tatum Gilman. So, and then Blake Flovin. So I think there's some guys that can make some plays. I want to see what a fully healthy Chad Cano can do, because I think he has a lot more speed than he showed there. He was clearly just hobbled.
Oh man, just watching him run hurt.
It's like, it's just like that looks like it hurts. It hurts to watch you run. It hurts me. It's just like it was such an awkward, just like you could tell he's like half limp running. It was not good.
Oh man, to me that was just like shades of Ash. I mean, he would play players hurt just without substitution. I was just like, oh, why are we playing him right now? And,
one of the worst cases of that I remember was oh man, it's been too many years removed, and I'm going to butcher his name. Makiola, right? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. I was going to let you do that one, except
he was. It was his junior year or senior year. He was pretty much hurt the whole year, and you could tell he was hurt. And he just I know he's true to his seniors and stuff, but I mean that's a whole other issue. But yeah, he was just not at full strength that season, and it showed. But I think Josh Hill showed a lot of flash in the North Dakota State game.
Yeah, that was the only game he's played though, so he's looking fresh.
Just the fact that he can come back from the injury and still play at a level where he can produce.
That kid is cerebral. He is the general of the linebackers, that's for sure. He just gets everybody lined up. You know what I mean?
Yep. Count me as a guy who was also wrong about that. I didn't think his injury would be as impactful as it was. I thought we had enough talent, and maybe I got the length and size stars in my eyes, and it's like Josh Hill over there. Yeah, he's good, but he's a little small. But yeah, we need him. He's clearly like one of our best linebackers. And I was wrong. Sorry, Josh.
Well, the thing that just keeps sticking out is speed. We got this length, we got the size, but I mean, if you're slow, it showed. We couldn't get off blocks. We couldn't go sideline to sideline. We were getting beat around the ends pretty regularly. So we need to fix that up.
You can mask speed deficiencies. Like Josh Hill's not the fastest guy in the field, but he's decisive and he goes without question where he wants to go, and he's in the right spot. So you can make up for some of that spot stuff, but at some point you just need the physical speed.
Yeah, exactly.
So linebacker core, I think we're going to be all right. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I like that we targeted a nice transfer, so we'll have some competition. I think the three guys who emerge from there will probably be pretty good players, as long as we're we're not real deep again. Like, we have the same guys, so I guess we have a lot of guys with experience. But if they didn't produce last year, I don't know how much more you can expect out of them, even with a year in the weight room and fall camps and stuff.
True.
If we're like you're talking about, if they're a guy that's not fast enough, they're not going to get a whole lot faster.
No,
you can get a little faster, but the big concern for me, and I think most people have said this as well, is the defensive line. We lose 3 studs, 3 of our biggest playmakers, 3 of our just stalwarts for the last 4 years. Like, these guys all were there forever. Got Ty Ioane. Ty, what am I talking about?
Tyrone.
Yeah, Ty. Wow, jeez. I'm tired. Okay. Yeah, we got him and Zach Wright and Tucker Yates. Yeah, so those are guys that were producing, were just the glue. At the same time, I think we can have a little more production out of the interior. I really liked Zach Wright. He had a really quietly just good career at MSU, but he wasn't a guy like Zach Minter, who could just blow the whole thing up himself. Or like Tucker Yates was getting pretty good at that too, but we just needed more play. That's just the theme of the whole defense, just more playmaking, right? Just making more plays. Like, it's not good enough really to just block it, like just take up maybe 2 blockers, but at some point you got to get in the backfield and do something.
Yeah. To me, it seems like when I watch the other teams that we struggle with, it is because they have better defensive line than our offensive line. And to me, that just screams that's what you need for success. And Choate always says it, it's the battle up front that is going to, decide it for you, essentially. So,
and there was teams that we were better at on defensive line, but when we ran into a team with a better offensive line than we were capable of, they just picked us apart. They dominated us physically as well.
Yeah. So to get to that level of depth and just guys that we need to get there, losing Tucker Yates, Zach Wright, and Tyrone it's a big ding right there.
Mm-hmm. Good news is I think we got some guys who I think can step up. Well, first of all, we got Bryce coming back. That's never going to hurt.
Nope.
He had a pretty good breakout year. I think he can be even better. He just got to continue to hone his craft and just keep at it at the weight room and the conditioning, so we don't, there's no letdown fading later in the year. And that's just a hard thing. Is you need to be deeper too, so you can rotate guys out and keep them fresh all year. That's why North Dakota State succeeds, is because their playmakers are amazing, but they have plenty of backups who can come in and spell them.
Sure.
When some of our guys, like, they get tired, you can't trust the backups necessarily. Stirk played a lot of snaps, I think, and he kind of wore down as the year went on. But I think we got a good replacement for Fa'anono with I just like the way Derek Marks has been playing. He's had a quietly good career too. It's crazy. He's going to be a senior, right?
Yep.
You want to talk about how I remember him like a little freshman. All of a sudden he's a senior. So what the hell? It's like you just kept waiting for his time, and it just never really happened because there was always a guy in front of him. But I think he's going to be the starter.
Well, we got Sparacco. He fits in there sometimes. He played a little bit of D end when Stirk was out.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sparacco moves inside.
Who's that guy we got from University of Washington? Was a transfer for us.
Amandre Williams.
Yeah.
So he projects. He's the kind of same thing. Is he going to be a buck, or is he going to be a linebacker?
Yeah, that's a good question.
He's like kind of like the tweener at our level, just like Sparacco. Like he's got the size for either one. It just kind of depends on his skill set.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he was like a really good linebacker in high school, but they brought him over to be defensive end, I think is the way, or vice versa at UW. So I'm not sure which way he's going to go here. Probably just depends where we need the most help.
Yeah.
Which is probably going to be defensive line, in my opinion. Because so we got Marks over there. I think it'll be Chase Benson and James Williams is who I'm projecting will be the starters.
Yeah.
Benson is just a physical freak, but he needs to put things together too. He needs to make some plays.
Have you ever seen Chase Benson's profile picture?
Has he got like a sweet like porno mustache type thing going on?
I think so, but the look on his face, it's just kind of scary. So if you have do yourself a favor, go look at it.
Like he's just gonna murder you type face?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Like gonna just beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you want.
You're going through like all the players, and then you get to Chase Benson, and you just pause. You're like, what?
So, that's the kind of guy you want on your defensive line, right?
Yep, exactly. There it is.
Have you ever seen him without his pads on?
No.
He is brick house. He's a huge man.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, I don't know if you've seen like so there's like some guys that just like look good in pads, and then they're not as impressive if they're just like in their jersey, but like there's guys like Bryce Stirk, and Chase Benson. You just see him like, holy shit, that's a big man. That's a strong. That guy works out. Like he's just you can tell that he is built. And Chase Benson's he has kind of like the Bryce Stirk body in that regard. Just like I think he can be special. He just needs to just keep working at it because I don't know if he played defensive tackle in high school. I think he was an end, wasn't he?
Don't know. I know he's a helmet guy, but
yeah,
I don't know where
I think he's one of those guys that like just put on weight just by being such an athlete.
Yeah,
like you can't keep him below like 240 if you wanted to. So,
speaking of weight, I kind of hope James Williams drops a couple pounds. I think he'd be a little bit more durable if we could.
I don't know about durability, but he would be better conditioned. He's going to have to stay in the game. We're going to need him because I think he could be a Zach Minter type in terms of like blowing plays up because I think he has that ability. He's got a quick first step for a 320-pound man.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Well, that's what I saw too. Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah. I mean, the spots he got in, he made the most out of it. He didn't make the tackle every time, but he blew the play up.
For sure.
Which is something we need because if you alter a running back and make him sidestep you, like that 1 second you just caused him to delay is going to allow everyone else to get there.
Yeah, fill those gaps.
So who else do we have on the line? So we have Ferreter, I think probably comes in to spell Stirk, or Sparacco or Williams. And the guys who redshirted, Ryan Wilcox, I think, did Byron Rollins redshirt? I have him on here, but that doesn't sound right now that I'm looking at it. I feel like he's like at least a second-year guy going on third year. Or did he go on a mission? I get confused.
That kid's fuzzy in my head, so
he's a
little fuzzy on that one.
It's like a Sentinel guy. He's a Missoula guy, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so he'll be in the mix, I think. And then you have that Sear Dines kid, or Daines. Thank you. I don't know how to say his name. I think he is going to be a special player too. But again, he's coming from a small school, but he's just a big physical kid. Seems like the kind of guy you want, like just a Montana tough guy who's going to come in there and just be what you want him to be on the defensive line. I just don't know if he's there yet, but we're going to need him to contribute.
It's this time of the year that those guys are making their hay. So, just pounding in the weight room, getting bigger, going over to the dining hall.
Yeah. Have you seen the pictures of the new dining hall over there?
The Rendezvous dining hall. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's like world class, man. It's like nicer than. Yeah, wow.
I just remember, like when we were in college, living over at North Hedges, going down to Miller Dining Hall and seeing like the football players come over. They would like load up on like 12 hard-boiled eggs,
Mm-hmm.
And then that was just like an appetizer.
They just got like a plate of like 10 chicken breasts, like unseasoned chicken breasts.
It's just like crazy. My buddy Brant Birkland. Do you remember Brant?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a personal friend with him. He was telling me a story about how they were on a road trip and they were getting on the plane, and Kramer had ordered every person got a large pizza on a plane. And like, it's something
just
else.
Put it down.
Yeah, just like everybody's getting that amount of food, that amount of calories. It's just normal.
Well, you've heard the saying, like, every pizza is a personal pizza if you try hard enough.
Yeah, good point.
Well, that's funny. Yeah, I remember him. He wasn't a real big kid as far as offensive linemen go, was he?
No.
He was like 6 foot, like 280, 270.
Yeah, he's thinner than I am now. That's crazy.
That's funny how guys just lose it sometimes. Like Matt Brownlow.
Yeah,
he dropped like all of his football weight.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the biggest thing. We signed Blake Schmidt, who a lot of people are pretty high on, and Marcus Ware are our signees that we have. But other than that, we didn't add a whole lot here. I mean, we got Amandre Williams as the transfer, so we definitely added some guys to help out here. I think there's plenty of talent there, but can they replace the production of just veteran, salty guys like Zach? Does Zach Wright ever get injured in his entire? I feel like he played every snap as a Bobcat.
Yeah, that guy was an iron horse for sure.
He was just one of my just favorite Bobcats over that stretch. Like, it wasn't a great stretch of Bobcat history, but he was there and he was always solid. You could always depend on him, and it was just, he had a good career. So it'd be hard to replace him, but I think we got some guys who can do it. We got a whole bunch of young guys. Like Stirk is like the only senior.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess Marks. So we got Stirks and Marks, but then we got like Williams and Benson and Sparacco and Ferreter. I think Williams is coming in as like a sophomore, right?
I'm not sure.
I didn't write that down. But yeah, and then like all the new freshmen and Serdanes and Byron Rollins. I mean, those are all young guys. Oh, and then the Kyle Rigg too. I forget about Kyle Rigg and Travis Yates. Jeez, I'm missing all sorts of guys here. So those are two guys that I know were pretty. People were pretty excited when we signed them. Like Yates was a pretty big signee. I don't know what those guys have been up to, but I think that they've been pushing for some playing time, if I remember, in the off season.
Nice.
So we'll have some guys. What do you think that the group needs to do to improve their play for next year? Where does just the defensive line need to do better?
Ooh, man, you dropped Zach Wright, Tucker Yates, and Tyrone Fon, and it's hard not to think that there will be a slight downtick in our production.
So the biggest thing for you is just replacing the production.
Yeah, I just think when you listen to the very beginning of the season, they always say, we're going to rotate guys. And to me, maybe I'm dismissing it, but towards the end of the season, it seems like we're not rotating the guys. You're sticking with the horses that got you there kind of deal. Where when we go play like North Dakota State, North Dakota State is largely an exception. But they're rotating guys and it makes a big difference come fourth quarter. So to me, that would be something, from a fan's perspective. I just want to see more guys play, keep them fresh.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I agree with that point. The only thing I could really think of is they just also like the linebackers need to shed their blockers better too.
Yeah.
They need to just get off the block and get to the edge and stop the guy from just running around the edge untouched.
I like our D-line coach, Byron Hout. I think he does a really good job.
He's kind of we don't talk about him, but yeah, he's done a solid job his time here.
Yeah.
So, well, we're pushing up close to an hour, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't think this would go very long. Said we every single episode we ever do.
I know. And we always look and it's about an hour and we're like, oh crap, let's get this thing tied up.
Yeah. So that was our general thoughts on the defense. And this wouldn't have gone as long if we didn't have the whole coaching thing to talk about. But that was just a whole wrench. I think that when we get to the offense, it'll be a lot shorter. Of course, Troy Anderson's a whole episode by himself as usual, so we'll see how that goes. But it'll be fun to do that one. I don't know when we'll do it, whenever we get around to it. I don't know if we'll get it before signing day or not. I'm hoping we'll do it next week, but life happens, you know.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how this one goes.
So, well, it's good talking with you. Looking forward to seeing what we do to improve the defense. I'm looking forward to see if we sign anyone else, and looking forward to talking with you next week, hopefully about the offense.
Yeah, and maybe even some more coaching changes. We'll see what happens as the carousel continues to turn.
You might have to do an emergency podcast if something crazy happens with the coach, you know.
You never know.
Got to talk about it. Do our hot takes, our lukewarm takes.
Right on, Thorny. Well, it was good talking with you, buddy, and we'll catch up soon, all right?
All right, take care.
All right, go Cats.
Go Cats.
You know, man.